Hey, what's going on today? Quarantine party people, the Modern Eater Show live right now from Studio Kitchen, Colorado. I'm Greg Hollenbach, Jay Parker here with you as well. We got just an awesome show today, Jay.
Yes, we do.
It's a huge show. Bigger than that. It's so big.
It's bigger than big.
We've got good stuff. We've got doctors. We've got chefs. We've got brewers. We got
a doctor for your head.
Yeah.
And we got a doctor for your heart.
That's right. And then we got a chef that's going to make all your dreams come true. Chef Kelly Whitaker joining the show today at 3 p.m. That's a don't miss.
Yeah.
That's a set your watch thing for right now.
Yeah.
You know, you go, here, I'll do it right now.
Yeah.
Siri?
I'm listening.
Set an alarm for me for 3 p.m.
Okay.
All right.
Set an alarm for 3 p.m.
Kelly Whitaker is going to join the show. Steve Indrehus from Tommyknocker Brewery, he'll be on at 2:15. So in just a couple of minutes, wait until you see what they've got going on in Idaho Springs at Tommyknocker.
Really interesting.
Good stuff. Dr. William Blanchet, Boulder Internal Medicine. We're going to give you some good news today, guys. I think it's time. It's time to start getting our lives back into some sort of normalcy.
The good news comes with a parental advisory warning, though, that I will provide when we have Dr. Blanchet on. And just remind me, because I truly think it's important, because he is going to give us what seems to be some good news.
As our audience is joining us right now, again, welcome. It is a Thursday. It's March 47th today, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Or the day after the tax day that should have happened but didn't happen because this happened, and now that's going to happen on July 15th. Your taxes.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. Don't have to do them for a while.
Well,
Unless
like I
you
said,
want
man,
to check.
this was
Did you get your 1,200, Jay?
This was the I
You
did.
get okay,
Yeah,
you
I
got your
did. This
1,200.
was the
All right, did you get unemployment, Jay?
No.
Okay, but don't do it because you know what? Funds are running out.
Hey,
and, we're going to talk about the PPP running out.
I'm working.
Funds.
Why should I get unemployment?
And you are working, but are you getting paid for your work?
Well,
that's a different story.
Different conversation.
Everybody wants to get paid. And you know what? Sitting on the bench right now, I know as much as everybody's, this is so terrible, right? Coronavirus. It has been a terrible outbreak, but now people are treating it like a vacation, right? If you have an opportunity to get back to your job, if you're making more money on unemployment and off the government dole, there's a problem right now with that. There's where the disconnection is. So we're seeing more and more of that. But if you're getting the call and they're saying, come back to work, go back to work. Just go back to work.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, eventually
get it back to normal.
You're going to have to.
So big show again, highlight, 3 p.m. Kelly Whitaker's on the show. Our buddy, he'll be back, Larry Herz from OCN.
Yes,
He's going to join us. And then Dr. Sara Metz cap off the day. In the meantime and in between time, it's the share song, Jay.
Yeah.
Today's share song. And what do you do during the share song? You listen, you enjoy. And while you're enjoying and listening, you share the show. So the Modern Eater Show on the air everywhere right now. The Modern Eater Facebook page. We prefer you watch off the Modern Eater Facebook page, but we welcome folks from OCN and our community now. You may see us on their Facebook platform. That's a partnership that we had this week, and we've really enjoyed that. So take full advantage. But if you're on any other page besides the Modern Eaters, just click your little butt on over to the Modern Eaters, like our page, and get notifications for these videos and participate. Engage with us. We like to do that. So we will play this song. It's My Corona Home, Jay, to the tune of Kokomo. To the tune of Kokomo, Jay.
My Corona what?
Kokomo. No,
right.
My Corona Home. And it's by John Pumper.
Yeah.
Without further ado,
Yeah.
John Pumper doing My Corona Home.
Pump it.
Share the stream. Enjoy this.
Aruba, Jamaica, ooh, I want
Ooh, you need a vacation.
God, don't I?
Come on, pretty
All right.
mama.
Head into the stream now, just like you should.
Baby, why don't we go? 'Cause we can't. We're in quarantine.
And that's the truth.
In our own Corona home.
Time to start kicking off them cobwebs, the dust bunnies.
To stay away from it all. Dinners from a can.
All right, let's share to my favorite groups.
Afternoons coloring lip crayons. It's been 13 seconds since I last went to go wash my hands. In my Corona aerobics cornflake us, don't give me handshake us. Please remove your mama. Time to watch my dramas. No labor, no razor, out of toilet paper in my Corona home.
3 o'clock, what's happening, Jay?
At 3 o'clock, we are going to talk to Chef Kelly Whitaker from Basta, the Wolfs Tailor.
Dry storage.
Dry storage.
And BOH. You know what that means, BOH?
No, man, I don't.
Back of the house.
Oh, well,
I got you.
I mean,
I got you, Jay.
my head wasn't in the restaurant
world.
I didn't
would it be?
didn't have an apron on.
Lost my appetite.
Oh man, wait till you see what's happening up in Idaho Springs. They're not closed. Hello, Chef Emma, Chef Travis joining us on the stream. Hopefully you're sharing this. We love you. The Modern Eater Show. Keeping the lights on. Your voice of Colorado hospitality right here every day, Monday through Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. Maybe a little after. All right, here's my last stop personal Facebook page share. Live now. What'd you think of today's song, Jay?
I like it, man.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I like all of them, actually.
Did you feel like going somewhere in your mind?
Well,
not really, but
we've got Steve here with us now. Hey, we'll jump right to it today, actually. I was going to do a couple of more things, but we've got Steve on with us, and we will get to this gentleman's time. So maybe we'll do cool people doing cool things after Steve and do a little bit of news. Basically, in the news, what I wanted to tell you was Paycheck Protection Program has officially run out of money, Jay. No more money.
Okay.
We need another wave of it. So $349 billion has been ran through so far to protect those paychecks. And looking to get another $250 billion approved by Congress. So that's what's happening with that. Let's go right now to our VIP camera. He's got the glasses on. That must mean he's concentrating hard.
that's how I can see the lens.
Steve, one of the biggest discussions. So Tommyknocker Brewery, here's Steve with us. Steve, say your last name. Me and Jay have a debate. Every single time we talk to you, it changes.
Yeah, Indrehus.
Indrehus.
Yep.
Okay, now I'm not wrong according to what I told Greg, because I said that, man, I thought I had it one day, and then the last time we talked, I got it, so I have to write it different now phonetically for me.
Yes,
I
Steve.
say it differently occasionally myself.
It's it reads like Steve, Indra, Dr. Dre.
I thought it was
House.
Steve, I genuinely, man, I thought it was pronounced Indrehus.
Yeah.
Well, Indrehus is probably what the Norwegian traditional version is. Like Indrehus is what it is, and traditionally it was my family had the inner house of the village that controlled all the goods, like the brewery and the store and the church. Everything was on the inner house.
Guess where your hand is?
Oh, over the screen.
Right on the camera. It's okay, man. Okay, so Steve Indrehus.
Yeah.
There it is. We got it. Caught up with you yesterday for a few minutes. There's some interesting things going on at Tommyknocker Brewery. First thing that we need to do is say, number one, Idaho Springs is not closed down.
No, Idaho Springs is not closed down. They just closed down the trailheads to recreational traffic, trying to keep the tourists from, coming in too strong and having tailgate parties and things like that. But the commerce in Idaho Springs is still open. Tourists can come by and stop in for to-go curbside, which we're doing. I can walk up and show you that. Want me to flip the camera around?
Yeah, flip that around. We'll just have a conversation. So, Steve, I don't know whether you know, for Denver metro area, it's day 32 out of 57. 32 days since dining rooms were told to shut down all over the metro area and the Front Range. And 25 days to go until that May 11th regroup or reopening of the dining rooms at restaurants and bars. Were you shut down on that Monday?
We were. But right now we don't apply. We're still go on the 30th. It hasn't been extended to
May 11th.
The 11th for us yet. So I'm
Oh,
showing you outside here. Still got, weathery conditions.
it looks like a Colorado day.
Uh-huh. To go curbside. Here's a curbside picking up right now. Food and beverage. We're doing things also. Like today, our special is like yesterday. If you bought an entree, that's the senior center across the street. The senior center lost their cooking staff over this. So on Wednesdays, if you buy an entree at Tommyknockers, we buy the seniors an entree.
That's awful nice of you.
It's good. It's so successful. We're actually having Tommyknocker fans from other states just calling up and giving us money to feed the seniors.
Oh, that's fantastic. We're seeing a lot of that outreach to whether it's frontline workers at hospitals or seniors as well. So doing your part. And look at these.
Waiting for your order.
The bandits are there.
Yeah, the bandits. And we're also doing things like resurfacing the tables, painting the ceiling, a bunch of construction projects. I can walk into the bar area and show you.
Yeah, go slow. Go slow. We'll
Okay.
go. We got plenty of time together if your time's good. So as we are shut down, and again, probably Tommyknocker's dining room. How long's Tommyknocker's been around?
25 years. This is our 25th anniversary year.
Probably the first time in 25 years you've ever had the opportunity to be shut down like this.
For sure. This is the first time ever. We're open almost every day of the year. We've shut down on Christmas sometimes, but like the past 2 years, we've been even open on Christmas.
Yeah, so here it is. I've spent plenty of time in this room right here.
Yeah.
So there's the bar to your right. Yep. And those. So where I'm looking at right now, there used to be a bunch of tables, right? High top.
Kind of got lucky and got funding and made a decision to, I call it the bar floor bump out. We're making more room in the bar. We've always been kind of claustrophobic in here. Right here where these joists are, there used to be 3 fermenters. We moved them over there and just reorganized things in the fermenting room and making more space because, in the bar area, traditionally you sell 3 times more beer than you do in your dining area. So we're trying to capitalize on that and make more room in here. So that was all planned before the COVID thing, which is going to work out because everybody knows coming out of this, culture is going to change probably a little bit and people are going to want more room. And if you're a 100-person restaurant, you're probably going to open up as a 80-person restaurant or something like that. So
yeah, for the beginning time anyway.
Yeah.
So folks that are just tuned in right now, Steve's with us, Tommyknocker Brewery. We're up in Idaho Springs. Steve is anyways. We're back at the Modern Eater Studio Kitchen, Colorado, catching up. First of all, you guys, we're going to get a little tour here, but you're going to be blown away. I mean, your socks are going to get knocked off you from something that Steve's going to talk about as far as non-alcoholic beverages go and what they're doing with that. Right now, we're taking a little tour, though. This is the bar area / brewery. There is the brewery right there to your right?
Yeah, that's Ian over there. He's brewing right now. We're doing about half the production as normal. We're still selling pretty good in liquor stores, but of course all the bars are down, and we had a significant amount of our business was draft, so slowing down on brewing, but we're ramping up for hopefully this is going to end in a couple weeks.
Steve, I was up there once when one of those
yeah, I remember.
It blew, man.
We did when everybody was making the hazies, it was happening to breweries that had little experience like us doing it and dumping hops in the top of a fermenter, and didn't close it up fast enough, and the beer came shooting out the top.
It was all over. I didn't know whether to start kissing the ground and getting that beer out of there.
Yeah, after I picked you off the ground because you were down there slurping it up.
That's right. So the dining, I mean, here it is. Look at it. It's kind of eerie. It's just empty, but looks like a construction site right now, doing some construction. What are some of the other things that you're doing as far as expansion goes?
Well, this is the main thing here. Of course, I showed you the dining room tables in there. We're painting the ceiling. We're trying to lighten up the room. The thing is, you kind of have to go with what kind of resources. Yeah, we had this funded before the COVID. Right now, we're operating our restaurant pretty much at a loss as a kind of considering a community service and keeping some of our employees working. Brewery's still doing okay, but the amount of revenue coming in, you can only do so much expansion and spend so much money.
Oh, I know it. Working on small margins already. Let's talk about pre-coronavirus. How many employees did you have going through that operation?
peak season 80. So we go between 60 and 80.
60 and 80. How many did you were you able to retain? We'll just go that direction.
Right now we have about 18 staying on full time, and when this PPP loan comes in, it could happen today. It looks like we were getting funded for that. So part of the terms of that is you hire back all your staff, and at the wage or the hours of the wages they were getting before this. We don't have work for all of them, but some of them are getting paid for home. But hopefully, we'll bring a few more people in to do some different projects around here. Thinking about trying to start doing to-go, doing some painting projects, and just keep some people busy.
Yeah, you touched upon something very important. Is you got to, in order to fulfill the agreement of that PPP, 75% going to payroll. And that going to rehire your original staff so that it turns into a forgivable. What do you do with folks that their positions just aren't applicable for service or anything right now? It doesn't resemble. What do you do with those folks?
They're going to get paid to stay at home. It's the main focus is to get them off unemployment, and so the people that we can use that makes sense so we can still maintain the social distancing and not have too many people in the building at one time. We'll bring them in and we'll use them. The other people are going to get paid and wait for us to open. And hopefully after we open, everybody flocks to the businesses and we can get everybody working again.
Isn't that just the strangest proposition of that happening?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so bizarre.
I know. And then the NRA, the National Restaurant Association, predicting that restaurants are probably going to be operating on 30% less revenue. Well, after post-COVID, just because of the needing more space, and people are probably going to be realizing they're tight on finances, and so we'll see how culture changes.
Turn that. Is there a way to turn that around so we can have a conversation with you here for a minute? That'd be great. There you are. Hey, there he is.
Hand over the camera.
Steve Indrehus with us, Indrehus, talking about. So one of the things that, as I've got my ear to the ground, there are some front of the house staff that are making more money on the bench, not going, than they would going to work, especially because they're tipped employees too. That's
going to happen, and we're already getting some rumblings with our place because we do have people working, and of course all restaurant people talk. So there's different programs like with the $600 kicker to unemployment. Some people will make more money that way. Then you bring them back. They're making the wage they were making before. They're staying at home. But then we have some people here working. So we're looking at different ways to compensate the people who are actually working for staying at home. Not that the people that are staying at home can do anything about that either because we can't use them. It's a day by day. And figuring out these loan things, that was changing hourly by hourly. It's still changing. So it's kind of, we're doing it day by day and just trying to make the right decisions and make the right call.
The world famous Tommyknocker Brewery in Idaho Springs. Steve, would you surmise that Idaho Springs is a resort town?
Well, it's a tourist town. It's an old mining town, of course. We don't really have any resorts here. Even hotel rooms are kind of scarce in Idaho Springs.
You think Indian Springs would like to hear you say? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah. Well, they have hotel rooms over there.
How about
a resort? But
how about a
hot springs resort? I guess, yeah.
How about a destination town?
Well, we're not even really a destination town. All the recreation is around us. Of course, there's 10,000 plus condos up in Summit County. People drive through to go to the Summit County resorts, communities, and go into Witter Park. All the national forest around us. We have some great bike trails, but Idaho Springs is kind of more of a hub or a fork on the way to all those things. And we capitalize on people driving through town.
Yeah, I'd agree. And so when it comes to employees or help, are they all locals?
80% of our staff is local.
So you're in an interesting position to where they probably are ready for you to open back up, so that you're kind of that game in town.
Well, We hope so. There's other businesses in town that are great too, and we're pulling kind of from a small pool of people as our community changes over the past few years. Of course, vacation rentals in town have taken some of the rental properties, but we do have a couple great like 40-room, lower income housing projects being built right now. So hopefully by the end of summer, we'll have about 80 more apartments in town for people that would work for Tommyknocker to stay at, which is great.
Yeah, it's interesting, and as I see, I'm very happy to see the Tommyknockers taking more of an aggressive stance and trying to come out of this a little bit stronger and more polished and a little bit better, actually, than just.
That's the plan. That's why we're staying open and doing curbside. Most of the restaurants in town have just closed because it's a losing battle. Like I said, we're not making money doing it, but there's some stats and some people that would say that if you stay open, it's going to be easier to open back up when they do turn the switch back on, and your food's going to be fresh. Your ordering, your people are going to be stay trained in. So we're kind of banking on that too. We're just going to stay open whatever it takes to stay open through this whole process.
Yeah. So menu, you had to condense your menu down a little bit. What'd you have to do?
Of course, you go through your produce in the cooler, and we worked through our perishables and did specials and served those, and then trimmed down the menu till you know it's going to work. And doing to-go food, not everything travels well to go, so you kind of go through your menu and figure out what's going to be successful for you to stock, because the volumes are low, so you can't buy big volumes of things and slack them out and have them ready to go. You have to kind of have small amounts of things coming through here and just try to give people what they want. We're doing different specials. Like on Sunday, you buy any entree, you get a big German pretzel for free. Buy one, get one on Tuesday. Everything's buy one, get one. Beer, food, really good deal. And the Wednesday special I told you about the senior center. On Friday nights, we're doing social separation date night. So that's kind of designed for like the husband and wife at home. They can come down, get 2 entrees. You get a free 6-pack and dessert.
Hey, Steve J. Parker here, man. I've spent my whole life doing dating, social distancing in the same breath.
Yep, exactly. It works for you.
So you're paring down the menu to the thing. What is working for you right now, Steve?
Burgers. We're a burger joint, and the burgers are good. And the fish and chips, we're selling lots of that out the front door. What else? The green chili in to-go containers is doing well. Today we made our special was lasagna. We did a big bunch of lasagna for the senior center across the street. Pretzels. We're doing 2-for-1 crawlers at all times. So beer and food. I mean, pub fares are our thing.
Yeah, coronavirus is teaching restaurants some interesting things. Number one thing is it worth being in the business? That's an interesting thing. But getting lean and mean and ready to go and grow again. Stopping seemingly is difficult, but not as difficult as restarting. It's like going to the gym, stopping and going to the gym, and then getting your ass up and going to the gym is another thing. How do you get this beast of a machine back up and running full speed, or are you not looking that it's going to be open the doors and pre-coronavirus? Let's just get it going again. What are the things that you're anticipating upon reopen?
Like I said, the main thing we're doing is we're not shutting down. We're staying open, and we're keeping our core essential staff working. So we talk. So that means everybody's on site. We talk about it every day. Everybody's here walking around and experiencing it. So when we do open the doors back up, we're going to be ahead of all the restaurants that are shut down. They're going to start making the phone calls. Time to come in, clean the cooler, clean everything. Right now, today, we're keeping people busy by we're totally emptying our huge ice machine, cleaning that out, detailing everything. So when it's time to go, we're going to be ready.
Fantastic. Love to hear that. Will you go back to full menu?
Oh yeah, that's the plan. We have a winter menu that's working well for us, but we're already planning our summer spring menu. I don't know, that's coming out in like a month or two, but we're ready to go with our menu. About 2 years ago, we went from a 3-fold 60-item menu. And we've been paring it down to things that work for us, and now we're down to about 30 items on our menu, and our kitchen's running better. Everything's higher quality, the food's coming out faster, and simple things like who would have thought paring your menu down would save like 14-minute table turn times, because with a big menu, people have to takes longer for them to pick what they're going to eat. It takes 7 minutes longer, we figured out. So 7 minute less ordering time, and the food's coming out 7 minutes faster per table.
Well, so that's interesting. Let's talk about that point for just a minute, because in order to cut down your amount of seats or turns, you're going to have to turn a table a little bit quicker, and that usually comes from the kitchen in order to make that happen. Are there any lessons that you're going to take away from that in order to be able to make up for that shortcoming of what would be seating, or do you have plenty of seating where that you don't really operate as a normal,
We have plenty of seating. It's a 300-person restaurant, and we actually figured out that if we don't seat the whole restaurant, the kitchen operates at a more optimal pace. Because it never happens where tables come in one at a time. You know that. So you'll get 15 tables coming in at once, and it slugs the kitchen, and things can go wrong. So now we've learned better about pacing. We don't seat the whole restaurant at once. And we actually turn tables faster, and the quality of food's better, the customer experience is better. It's a big win if you have, as everybody who knows, you operate the place from front to back efficiently. Not just having the back has to talk to the front, the front has to talk to the back.
Yeah. Have you exposed anything through this outbreak that maybe business practices that you're like, okay, let's just get rid of that altogether, or we need to get our marketing or reach our customer a little bit better? Anything that you've learned?
Well, e-commerce is a big talking point these days. That's one thing that we're doing. We have our menu it's online right now. We just got that going the other day, where you can go online, order all kinds of modifiers on there. You can order and pay right online, pick up right at the curb. So most likely we'll keep that going. The other thing we're doing is we're switching POS systems. We're going to Toast, which has more of a handheld at the table experience. So now the wait staff doesn't have to stay at the table and remember or take notes, go over to a screen, punch in the order, which goes to the kitchen. Now they can stand at the table, take the order, and they hit the order in right on the handheld, goes straight to the kitchen. So you'll have less mistakes, because you have one mistake that happens on ordering that can put all the orders back 10 minutes. You try to, a burger comes out wrong, you have to recook it. That has to take precedent over the other orders, and then other orders are falling behind, So.
Wow. Half an hour from now, Chef Kelly Whitaker we'll go to Boulder, and to Basta is where he's at right now. Get this, Steve. He pre-sells dinners a day in advance, so he knows exactly what he's cooking for that day.
Yeah, I've heard that concept before. That's genius.
It's sold out. He's got zero waste. He almost looks at that model and goes, wow, how do I not keep this? It's going to be an interesting interview to catch up with him. You blew our minds yesterday. Again, we're up at Tommyknocker Brewery right now. At least Steve is. Steve Indrehus. I'll get it. It is talking about what they're doing at Tommyknocker, but you're also showing us some new innovations that you're working on as well. I'm going to let you set this up, but it's mind-blowing. I think people don't believe it at first, then they hear you talk about it more, and then it just all makes sense at the end. You go ahead and just lay it out.
I'll preview it right now, but because we're shut down, it's not very impressive, because it's not all set up and everything's dusty from the construction, but it could fill a whole show just talking about this one element. But through Sustainable Beverage Technologies, a company in Denver, they brought this tap system to us, and we're going to make our beer in it. The concept is ABC, alcohol by choice. So right now it's set up to where these 3 beers on this side will be full strength, these 3 will be NA. And then down the line, it's going to be where you can have whatever alcohol content you want in your beer. And one way to think about it is like if a person like me goes out to dinner, you pick one of the 6 or 7% IPAs on the menu, you drink that with your appetizer. By the time your entree comes, you want a second beer. But for some reason, you can't have a second beer, and you already have the social flow from the first beer. You can have your second beer at a lower or no alcohol. And if it tastes almost identical, or let's just say identical, why wouldn't you? Then you can have 2 or 3 more beers. Or the concept could be where you walk into a bar and your buddies are there, you want to watch the game for 3 hours and you want to drink beer the whole time, you can punch in on the app saying I weigh 185 pounds, I'm going to be here for 4 hours, and it can say then you can have 5 beers at 3% alcohol. You can have 6 beers at 2.8% alcohol. It'll give you a readout, so then you can go to the bartender and say, give me a blood orange IPA at 2.8% alcohol, and you can just drink through them. So that's the concept right there. That's the ABC concept, and it goes on from there to where the way they're able to do that is the beer is condensed and put in it's a bag and box concept. So there's a computer system in there, and I don't know if you can see it. I'm trying to show it to you there. I can't see my camera very well.
Yeah, go slow. And then I don't know. Your microphone got a little less there. I don't know if your fingers on there. We can still hear you, but it's not. It's not. Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
What happened?
No.
Yeah.
Well, you got a text. Yeah, I can hear you. You got a phone call, I think, or a text. But yeah, we can hear and see you. I just don't think you can hear me. Just if you can hear me, Steve, exit the room and go back in there. I'll tap dance around and give a little bit of time.
Yeah. Do
I lost you.
Yeah,
do your thing there.
Go. Yeah,
I can't hear you, unfortunately.
I'm gonna text him right now.
Come back in. Yeah, let's do this. HR and Payroll Services. Hot Schedules powered by Fourth. You know Rebecca Berry, and Fourth is one of these.
Come back in.
Fourth is a basically a service that has many layers of protection. And when you're in the business of growth and in a restaurant, sometimes it can feel very lonely. Like your resources are only as vast as your knowledge base. Increase your knowledge base and get a hold of the experts at Fourth. That in this instance, it's Rebecca Berry. Give her a call. Tell her what your needs are or where you're at, whether it's payroll, HR, insurance. It does't matter. Rebecca Berry, she'll answer your questions. And if she doesn't have the answer, she'll make sure she'll put you in the right direction. Rebecca.berry@fourth.com. Rebecca Berry at fourth.com. Reach out to her for all of your business needs. Okay, Steve, we got you back.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, good. Fantastic. So where we left off, and I think this deserves to go a little bit slow. So your background is brewing, right? And you would know something that tastes good. And I would imagine, and you wouldn't just put Tommyknocker's reputation on the line, sampling some of your beers. So you have a side-by-side there. You've got the Tommyknocker beers, and then you're using those beers as well to test out this program. Or is it past the test phase to where you've got your blood on?
Still, we're doing proof of concept right now, a few of them. And I'll show you. This is what the bag and box looks like right here. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Are you able to see that?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, you're chopping up a little bit.
The way
That's
that
all.
it works, let me do that, is the alcohol's on one side and the syrup's on the other side. So that's the machine up there can control the balance of alcohol that's going into the syrup. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So the beer tastes really good, very close to the one we started as Blood Orange IPA, and it's really close. The non-alcoholic version, I would say, is the best non-alcoholic beer in the market. We've compared it to a lot of beers. We do taste tests all the time with, and we're getting real close to having an exact match.
Wow, that's something out. What are some of the questions people ask you about that just don't believe it? What are some of the most common questions?
Well, the main thing is, how is it made? And I have an NDA on that, so you can't talk about it. Somehow there's a big delay on this thing.
I know. I think
you have audio there.
Yeah, I think you have both rooms up. I'd ask you, Steve, if you can hear me, just to exit out of the room altogether. Maybe that'll work.
I think you got kicked out there, but
then jump back in. He still has his old camera in there. Oh, that's too much. Again, 3:00. Don't forget, set your alarms. Chef Kelly Whitaker, he's up at Basta today in Boulder, and we're going to jump into that restaurant and just chop it up with him. So many cool things and innovation. You talk about innovation. Kelly Whitaker, he's always been an innovative guy, but he's stepped it into high gear right now.
Outer space.
What Steve's showing us right now at Tommyknocker Brewery, and this is called ABC. There he is. You're back.
Back?
Yeah, and no
Oh,
echo.
it sounds good too.
Yeah, life is good. Cool.
Yeah, okay.
It's ABC, and that stands for what again? It's an acronym.
Alcohol by choice.
And this has really got to be the wave of the future. So for folks that are watching, the concept is really fairly easy. When you think about soda and getting those bladders of syrup, and then mixed in with the CO2 and the water as well, there you go. You got a nice soda. You were giving us a little history of when there was a pushback for even soda in a bladder.
Yeah, like in the 1960s, everybody, all the big companies, the Coke and Pepsi, were doing their soda syrups in Cornelius canisters, and that was the industry standard. Then the bag-and-box concept came out, and of course the big businesses were pushing back on it, but slowly but surely the businesses were introduced to it. So it was an interesting concept where, similar to this, it might be the old school or the business is going to push back on this beer in a bag-and-box concept, but if it does pass the proof of concept, the industries or the people are going to demand it because there's a whole ecological factor. There's a whole bunch of benefits on size and storage and refrigeration and ecology factors that are good with this bag-and-box concept. The same thing happened with the soda. Is eventually the restaurants and the consumers demanded the bag-and-box, so the industry had to change. The industry didn't drive the change. The consumer changed to make soda happen in a bag-and-box. So eventually this could happen with this. The SPT did do a 200-person blind tasting, and majority of the people preferred the SPT NA beers, but then when they showed them the technology that the beer was coming out of a bag-and-box, the older generation people, my generation, there it is right there, the older generation people preferred to change their answer back to liking the product that came out of the traditional serving techniques and manufacturing techniques, where the younger generation people said, bring it on, we love it, because there's a ton of ecological factors that are good too. The main thing when we bring distributors in to show them this technology and you explain there's no cooperage, no kegs, and the bane of most distributors is dealing with empty kegs. With this, it's a one-way package, and each one of these boxes, this is like equivalent to a 5-gallon keg right there. It's 13 pounds, and that'll make 6 gallons of beer right there. So this machine right here, you can load up with 6 different styles of beer. So like a smaller venue, like a bar that can have one box this size and put three 5-gallon kegs in there, now can serve 6 styles of beer. And those beers can be at different alcohol contents. So it offers a lot of flexibility that way. And we've already figured out that we can send more beer to our place in Helsinki overnight freight than we can on a 20-foot container that takes 44 days.
How is the beer made? How is it made in the bladder? What? How does it? I just don't get how it's brewed or the formula.
One reason why NA beers are so popular right now is the technique for making them, vacuum distillation, which is probably the most popular. That over the years is like a $5 million operation. Recently, that technology went down about $500,000, so it's gotten to be kind of affordable to make NA beers. These guys are doing a combination of different techniques to make their beer for us. And like I said, I don't even know all the details because, for one, I have an NDA, and to protect myself, I don't want to know because I'm a blabbermouth. I'll say something wrong and get in trouble. So all I can tell you, I've been to their place every time. They're the real deal, and we're not the only ones they're working with. There's other big reputable breweries they're working with,
Sure.
But we're the first ones to really have this going in their brewery and moving along. And we've already had, like I said, our establishment over in Helsinki's been over to see it, and we're going to move forward sending product to them this way. But like I said, no empty kegs to deal with. That's the main thing.
So is that your recipe inside of that bladder? Yeah.
They basically take our beer down there, put it in their lab, and it's been like a 7-month project right now to get it to where we're happy with it. And is it perfect? not quite, but it's really close. And it takes a little while to get through every sample, so it takes like a month every time we bring a sample through. We burn through it. We have it here at the bar. We get feedback from the customers that come through here, and we make some small changes, but it's getting really close to being a direct match off our standard brewed or traditionally brewed style of beers.
Man, that's intense. So, as a traditional brewer and having a brewery, doesn't that terrify you?
Well, I think, there's a whole dissertation. I think at a different time we can focus on this, but one other main thing that really excites me is 200% less resources go in to make the same amount of beer. Less water, less manpower. It's a continuous fermentation. One of the things that's going on is it's continuously fermented. So all these resources that go in to make the same amount of beer, a lot less of them go in to make beer this style.
Too much.
Yeah.
It's exciting. And on the other, it's just unknown, so you get a little bit of fear from the unknown. And then you look at all this beautiful equipment and traditional brewing. And then maybe it'd be less terrifying if it was just non-alcoholic, but the prospect of being able to dial up or dial down how much alcohol you want in that beer, it covers the gamut at that point.
Even the future also is you can have one base beer on this, and in these bag-in boxes you can have different flavors. So you could have a wheat beer on, and this one you can tell the bartender, I want to have a blueberry wheat, and this time it's blueberry, and next time you can order raspberry. It's just it'll be an LED screen on this thing, and there'll be all these different flavors, kind of like those new Coke machines you see when you go into Chipotle's. You'll be able to go in there and control the product that you want coming out of the tap.
Crazy. You get your base. It's almost like going to get froyo or something.
Yeah.
What else is exciting you and let me ask you this question. We're up at Tommyknocker Brewery right now, taking a tour around with Steve right now, Indrehus. And food versus the brewery. I got to imagine you guys are making the lion's share of your money off of the brewery and distribution of beer, right? Or am I wrong? I mean, what's
it's pretty much, it's the restaurant does 60% and the brewery does 40%. It's amazing. Yeah. I'll show you some new, now am I pointing that way?
We're looking at you.
Oh, see, I can't see my camera. Well, I can't see what I'm pointing at.
There you go. We're in the cooler now.
Yeah. You asked for some new things. Right now, our Prospector series, we're doing our cherrywood sour brown. So that's actually real fermented cherrywood in there. It's our sour beer right now. Another new thing we're doing, all our sodas are now in cans. We're having great success with that. Another beer, I think I brought a sample down to you guys a while ago when I brought Ira from Chilaka down there. We're doing a chocolate porter.
Oh, far out.
That's going to be super successful. We haven't even released it to the market. We're just test marketing it here and sending it out to our customers, getting feedback and tweaking the recipe a little bit.
Steve, that porter, that holiday porter that you have, that's candy cane, that's
oh yeah,
man, just do that year round, please.
I know, cocoa cane. That's a good one. That's a modification off that one.
So good.
And then I'll walk you back to the production area, and I'm pretty excited. This week we got our first production run of this new sleeve that we're putting in our can that has a removable zipper on there, and it's probably been done somewhere, but I don't know if any other brewery is doing it. So I'll grab one of these and show you what's going on.
Yeah, standing by for Dr. William Blanchet.
Can you give me a can? So the cool thing here is now our can has a zipper emblem on there, so you can take the zipper.
What he's saying is their can has a zipper emblem there, so you can actually peel it off and separate the can from the plastic so that they can go to different landfills and recycling.
So I'm pretty excited about that happening.
That's super cool. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Jay. Hey, Steve, make your way back up to the front.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. Good 40 minutes, and it's been a great. You're inside the production portion of that, and a little loud, but just kind of cool to see it happening. The canning taking place back there, and And it gives you an idea. Yeah, it gives you an idea how big it is. So as we've just spent the last 40 minutes with Steve up here at Tommyknocker Brewery, Steve, any closing things that you want to say to our audience?
Come on up on a drive-by and have some to-go food. We're doing great deals on beer. Buy some beer, bring it home and enjoy it. Everybody stay healthy.
Yeah, no kidding. It's so good to see your face. Usually we get you down here at the studio kitchen and laugh and scratch and share a couple of beers. We'll be back at it soon.
Yeah.
Good to see the improvements there, my man.
You bet.
Thanks, Steve.
Yep, have a good day.
There, yes, Steve right there. Woo! Does it make you want a beer, Jay?
Every time we talk to breweries, especially the local craft and all that, which is the only brewery
standing by for the doctor again. Set your alarm. 15 minutes from now, Chef Kelly Whitaker, he'll be up at Basta in Boulder. We're back at Studio Kitchen, Colorado right now, and the doctor is coming in. But let me take this opportunity to tell you, it's that time again for me to talk about Colorado's favorite spice company. As you begin to reopen your bar, your restaurant,
okay?
Making a change.
The problem is I couldn't see the camera.
If you know Zach Johnson, he's a friend. He's somebody that's there. He treats every single one of his customers, gives that personal touch. For all of your spice and specialty dry good needs, these guys at the Spice Guy source nothing but the best from farmers all over the world, with the exception of China. He wrote that, not me. And the quality that you really can taste and smell as soon as you open the bottle. It's a phenomenal way to save money and increase the flavor of any menu item. Home cooks, they didn't forget about you. Feel free to hit up their website. It's thespiceguyco.com, or Google them and you'll find the Spice Guy. For more information, just Google the Spice Guy for all of your home spice needs. We love him. Do business with him. He's the Spice Guy. Okay, right now. I love the fire, Doctor.
Thank you.
Oh, no, can't hear that.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, Doctor, can you hear me?
I hear you just fine. Thank you.
Okay, good to be back on. Good to have you back on the show. This is Dr. William Blanchet, Boulder Internal Medicine. Doctor, the last time that we spoke to you, we were on the front end of the curve and just trying to really make sense of ups and downs of where the only thing that was certain is uncertainty, and trying to follow data from other sources throughout the world that we kind of modeled what we were doing here back in the States. Let's start there. Let's jump back to where we were, some of the data that we're seeing that we did see in planning these models at, and where you believe us to be right now, Doctor.
Absolutely. Well, as you know, when we got into this COVID-19 virus, the thought was the number of people infected doubles every 3 days. And that's what the curves in other countries looked like, and that's what the curve in this country was looking like. And based on those models, we were going to have 100 million people infected in this country when this thing peaked. If you have 100 million people infected and 20 million people needing hospitalizations, we had no capacity. We're going to be in huge trouble. It was mind-boggling how much trouble we're going to be in. Then we started doing this spatial distancing. We started wearing masks. We started shutting down non-essential businesses. We started working from home. And what's happened is that the rate of increase in the infections has dramatically leveled off. The rate of new hospitalizations has actually dropped over the last couple of weeks, and the death rate has gone down significantly over the last several weeks. So it really looks like this spatial isolation has worked. This stay at home, shelter at home has worked. And so this is flattened out and starting to go down. As a consequence, our medical resources are not being exhausted. We're not looking to run out of ventilators, at least here in Colorado. We're not looking to run out of ICU beds, at least here in Colorado. It may still happen in New York. It may still happen in Los Angeles. But in Colorado, it's looking very, very encouraging. I'm much more comfortable now than I was 2 weeks ago as far as where this infection was taking us. Is it still bad? Yes, it's still bad. If we lighten up on what we're doing, it will explode again. There's no doubt about that. But what we're currently doing is working. And by having it work, number one, we're not exhausting the medical system. Number two, we're keeping people from getting infected while we're diligently working on treatments and maybe even a vaccine. But all we need is a treatment, something that can bring down the severity of this illness. And then it'll be a much, much more tolerable illness than it could be if it just exploded and took off now. So I'm much happier than I was 2 weeks ago. And it's still scary. There are still people very, very sick. You know, I have a 94-year-old patient who's in a nursing home who has COVID and is probably not going to make it for another day or so. I have another younger patient in the hospital on a ventilator who's getting better, who's we hope is going to come off the ventilator. We're cautiously optimistic. So I don't want to downplay this as being a nothing burger. This is a real disease, but we're not seeing the explosion that we're expecting. And I want to thank everybody out there for doing their part to keep that from happening.
Yeah, you bet.
That's made my role in this whole thing a lot easier, a lot more palatable.
Dr. William Blanchet with us, Boulder Internal Medicine, as we revisit a conversation we had with him probably about 3.5 weeks back, to where he just in that stage of, I think that there was a lot of information going on and just weeding through that information. Today's truth is different than yesterday's truth. Doesn't make them any less truthful. I think that what we're looking at right now, and again, this is why I'd like to have you on here, is some of the data that was manufactured, even projections. And I think at the low end, the death toll nationwide being projected to be at about 100,000, low end, like very low end. We're at 40,000, right? Somewhere near there.
Oh, not quite 30 something.
30 something.
It's increasing every day.
That's a miss. That's a big miss, especially on the 40% off, 60% off. That the low end number, not that I wanted to see that 100,000, but to see that low end number and see that how life has changed as we know it, and business is crumbling around us, and finances just being in dismay. You've got to wonder what that number really represents where we're at right now. So it has the juice been worth the squeeze, Doctor?
I think it has. And I think the reason we're seeing a 30,000, 40,000 at this point, instead of the 125 or 150,000, is because we have ducked and covered. The reason we have not exhausted the healthcare system is because we have ducked and covered. The reason I was able to admit a patient last night with bowel obstruction, because we had a bed in the hospital, because the hospital wasn't filled with patients ill with COVID-19. If we had not taken the draconian steps that we've taken, we would be facing that. The patient I admitted last night, I'm not sure where she would have gone, because we would have had a full hospital full of beds. And so it's one of those things where we identified a problem, put in a draconian solution. The problem became dramatically better because of the solution we input. And now it's less of a problem than it would have been.
Okay, let's go
Doesn't
there.
mean it was the wrong solution.
Yeah, let's go there. So suppress, COVID it's non-discriminatory. It doesn't know what steps we've taken to suppress it. So if we open the floodgates back up, Doctor, why wouldn't the spread just be just as rampant as it would have been before we shut everything down?
It might be. It might be, and that's a concern. The two things that make a difference is there is some immunity in the herd. We haven't reached herd immunity, but there's some people out there who have had the disease, who have immunity. We don't even know how many people that is because our testing has been so inadequate to date. We have some degree of herd immunity. Number two, I think even if we go back to work, we're going to be a little bit more cautious as to who we share spit with, as to who we cough on, as to whose hands we shake and things like that. So if we went back to work and bowed instead of shaking hands or saluted or something like that, if we were more cautious about hand washing, if we're more cautious about these other things, the disease would likely be transmitted less rapidly. If we went back to work and for a period of time wore face masks, plus did better hand washing, the disease would likely be transmitted less rapidly. And when I say transmitted less rapidly, for an epidemic or a pandemic to work, it has to have a certain level of contagion and spread at a certain pace, or else it'll just wind itself down and disappear. So we can change this equation so we slow down how fast it's being transmitted. We can get this epidemic to wind down and disappear. More importantly, we can figure out what works and what doesn't work in treating this. If I put somebody in the hospital with bad COVID-19, and I know that I've got a bunch of convalescent serum in the freezer, just need to thaw out a couple of units, give it to them, and they will get substantially better, the face of the disease might change. If this is not such a fatal disease, we'd feel a lot more comfortable. If everybody was getting a flu-like syndrome, going to bed for a week, and then going back to work, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Mhm.
We're having a conversation because about 2% of people in this country who get this die. And it's not just the 80-year-olds. You know, people in my age, about 2.5 to 3% of people my age with this disease die. In fact, about 3.5% in Colorado, my age, die from this disease. And so yeah, I think that we did a unprecedented step to try to control the rapid spread of this disease, and it worked. I have trouble criticizing the people who made that step because I'm still here to talk to you. Yeah, I could have gotten this disease from the hospital. I might not be around to talk to you right now.
No,
I'm
I
still
get
here
it.
to talk to you, and for that, I'm grateful.
Here's another question that folks ask. They say, so if somebody, say somebody's on their way out, lived a full life on their way out, and just so happens to have coronavirus.
Sure.
Did they die of coronavirus or did they die of what's ailing them? And how was that marked?
When you fill out a death certificate, you fill out cause of death and contributing causes of death. So if I have a 95-year-old patient who is already fading and gets coronavirus, when I'm filling out the death certificate, coronavirus will be on the death certificate. And whether it was cause of death or contributing cause of death is almost a moot point. It will be on the death certificate, and when you're tabulating, it'll show up as a cause of death. That's a very small percentage of people who die from coronavirus. Most people who die from coronavirus were skiing, were hiking, were doing normal activities before they got it. They got a tremendous release of inflammatory products in their lungs. Their lungs filled up with fluids, their heart stopped working, and they died. So healthy, robust people are then dead. In nursing homes, yes, the percentage is a lot worse. Outside of nursing homes, the healthy, robust people end up 3 days later in a ventilator in the ICU, and a week and a half later dead. So it's a virus not to be taken too lightly. It's a serious virus.
As we wrap up this conversation, hopefully we can get you back next week to continue. And part of that conversation I'd like to bring towards restaurants next week. And I know service industry has a place in your heart as well with your
Absolutely.
family. But let's talk about, let's spend a minute to talk about the term reopening is happening a lot,
Yes.
whether it be businesses or America or your city or county. What do you see? Is there enough data out there to talk about, will life be normal as people knew it pre-coronavirus anytime soon, doctor?
The problem is, as you mentioned earlier, with what we know right now, if we say, great, the crisis is over, let's go back to work, instantly the curve will start shooting up again. No question about it. We have to be able to input something else that's going to keep that from happening. And like I said, hopefully that will be a better treatment. Hopefully at some point it'll be a vaccine. When will we get back to work? When will life be normal? Boy, that's a tough question. There's so many variables that come into that. My hope is that the current reduction in events will continue to go down. My hope is that everybody who's at the store, everybody who's going to pick up stuff at their favorite restaurants, everybody who's going to the hardware store wears a mask, has clean hands, does everything we can to shut this down. You know, the social isolation has done a lot. I think if everyone wears a mask, and when I'm out and about, I'm not spitting on you, and you're wearing a mask, so you're not spitting on me, I think that will be another huge major step in bringing this down. So I really encourage that to happen. Let's wear the masks. Let's wash our hands. Let's look at getting back to work. But let's look at getting back to work in the safest possible way. And let's not reignite the fire that has been tamped down at this point in time.
Agreed. We'll have you back next week, Dr. William Blanchet, Boulder Internal Medicine. Just great conversations with you, doctor. We so much appreciate your time.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
There he is, Dr. William Blanchet. I mean, he'll have the conversations with you. And when we had him on last, and again, it was a lot less defined of what we were going to see. But when offered the proposition of Sophie's choice and what he would do if he had to pick and choose who would live and who would die, the prospect of that just brought the doctor to his knees. Wasn't anything that he wanted. Okay, let's switch gears. I told you set your alarm for 3 p.m. and it is. My alarm went off. Folks are coming in. Welcome to the stream today. The Modern Eater Show continues. Colorado's voice of hospitality. And again, Monday through Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. or a little longer because we can do it that way. It is March 47th. Folks, March 47th or April 16th. Day 32 out of 57. 25 days to go until your favorite restaurant or bar reopens their dining rooms, which it'll look probably completely different. Folks are learning some things, and the man of the hour right now, Chef Kelly Whitaker, joins us right now, and I believe you're a Basta, aren't you, Kelly?
I'm at Basta right now, yes.
Yeah, good to see you. So, Basta, the Wolfs Tailor, Dry Storage, Bruto, and BOH. I asked Jay, do you know what BOH means, Jay? A guy who's been in the industry forever. He thought it was probably more complicated back in the house.
Yeah, no, I did. I way overthought that.
How are you? Good to see you.
Thank you. I'm doing good. We're just setting up for service right now. Yeah, it's a snowy Boulder. It's beautiful. Every time we get this type of snow, it's like I always want to be in this restaurant, particularly because of just the wood fire oven and the vibe and stuff. So it's surreal, and it's snow's always good for Basta.
The flat irons are beautiful always, but getting rid of some of the pollution and smog, I bet it's just brilliant when you look out over the flat irons.
It really is. Yeah. How you guys doing today? Yeah,
well, we're good, man. Let's dig in. So throughout the weeks, we've kept the lights on, been broadcasting 6 days a week, and just basically trying to be that beacon for folks to sound off and get ideas and just take the temperature out there right now. So you've joined us today, and we're very thankful. And we had a pretty stimulating conversation pre-show, and just to see some of the things that you're doing. I've always thought of you as a very innovative person, forward-thinking person. You look around corners, Chef. And right now is a time to where if you knew, you knew, but nobody knew. So, reality's different. The only thing certain right now is uncertainty. That's the world we're living in. So you can control what you can control. Talk about your restaurants pre-coronavirus, then we'll kind of get to where you are now, and then we'll take a look ahead.
Yeah, so the past few years have been really interesting for us. We had Basta for about a decade, for 10 years. And in between that time, we opened Cart Driver and, had just a really, that was sort of us expanding in a way. And we moved away from that project. I ended up selling to the partners that were there that just, and they've gone on to do great things. And, but this past few years have been real interesting because I didn't know how and if when we wanted to expand again. So one of the projects we were working on most recently opened down at Free Market in the Dairy Block, Bruto. That was kind of something that I've been working on for about 4 years with my buddy in Los Angeles. He's in retail. And so that was kind of a project I didn't know was going to happen. And then by default, Basta needed a little more space because we started milling grains and there was an empty space next to our building here. So again, kind of by default, we took that. And I didn't really think about it at the time. I was like, oh, these are a couple little spaces, sort of fitting the cart model where I could work with just a few employees and keep things simple in my life. My goals and aspirations haven't been to have like the 10, 15 restaurants and stuff. But the Wolfs Tailor was the big one for me. I was like, should I do another sit-down restaurant? I debated it forever, and if so, how could I carry on the quality and that? So this past year was real exciting for us to get some good recognition for that restaurant, not just recognition for the food or the atmosphere or whatever, but really how we took care of our employees and our level of focus on zero waste. And I just thought it was time. I'd spent a lot of time traveling, just thinking about what a restaurant like that in Denver could mean, and when you start putting a lot of ideals behind it. So we took our first, from the very first approach to that building, which wasn't a restaurant before. It was like every detail had to, every piece of cooking equipment, the way I laid the room out with Kevin Wynn, my architect, who's just amazing. Worked on Hop Alley, worked on Beck and Call, and a lot of great projects. But and he's a one-man show, so I just spent hours with him being like, what would it look like a restaurant of the future? Where like a tip pole would impact the layout, and where a product of zero waste is impacted by the piece of cooking equipment you put into place. So when we got recognized for, again, not just like our teams putting out delicious food, but like really getting mentions about some of the stuff that we were doing there, was a big deal for us. So Wolfs was, pre this, to your question, we were trying to figure that out. We were trying to figure out how do I go from 1 to 3? First of all, it's like, oh my God, we're pregnant again. And, you weren't really expecting it. And you're like, oh
Sure.
my God, are we really doing this? Do we even really want another child in our life? Like,
Yeah,
it's
here
kind
comes.
of like some of it felt very planned and some of it didn't. But so we were adjusting to that new, having the mill and the grain and the grain elevator starting to manifest, and then having, this thing Bruto in this weird retail environment kind of, we're like, what are we doing there? So it was a lot of things that were kind of up in the air already, which may have started preparing us for the mentality, preparing our mental state for what was happening now. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Let me give you a flashback.
yeah.
Here's a daily camera piece. I found this to be just very interesting, almost eerie. Halloween 2019 daily camera piece. Who wrote this piece? It's a great piece. Delilah Singer. You were quoted at the end of this piece. Here's a quote from Chef Kelly Whitaker. We look backwards so that we can move forwards, Whitaker said, noting that 2020 will be an interesting year for his ventures. Basta's the real success story. How would you have known that, interesting year is what you call it? And I think obviously this is in a whole different context, but is applicable to what we're looking at here. We look backwards so that we could move forward. That very insightful in many ways, but the body of work of looking backwards for COVID hasn't come yet, but there will be lessons to be learned. And I think that that's where the conversation gets interesting right now, Kelly. You're doing some things that, again, we talk about looking around corners and being innovative. And I don't think that you probably could be pulling these things off right now without the community that you've cultivated. You have an ethos that is very clear. You stand for many things, and a lot of them have to do with people. People, process, and product. All done very well. Talk about what's happening right now with Basta, how you order, what your menu looks like, the zero waste. I'll just let you take it from there.
Sure. We, when this started, like you said, the people that we employ and the culture that we represent with IE has always been the most important thing. And I love taking care of guests. I love hospitality. There's so many things about this industry I love, but the culture that existed before and building the team that we had in place. I mean, these guys have been around with us for a long time. So my first reaction was definitely not about our business. And like you said, looking back, I might be like, man, you're so stupid for doing this. But my first thought was like, we got to hold the front line. It wasn't layoff. It was like, hold the front line, all the front of house folks, our front of house employees, they wanted to like delivery drive. They didn't want to like go to the services. They didn't want to do, and again, they needed a job, and they were like, okay, we're going to drive food. So we started delivering food. We did a online ordering system. We were real quick to get that done. Surprisingly, I didn't even know we could do it, but our teams just started going in place quick and pivoting. And so we really went with the online ordering. We did curbside, and we kept everybody employed. So we didn't lay off a single employee, and that was my goal until I knew that they would have a solution other than the $4 an hour that was being offered at the time. So the second that some of the new planning from the state and local, federal level, all the levels started making a little bit better path for them. I think it was on the first that we decided to stop because it was just Basta kept going. It was busy, and it took between drivers and us on the line, and then us. There was just so many things up in the air. I was like, I really wanted things to calm down, and so like I said, once we knew, we decided to furlough, keep a home office team, and reset what we thought would be the new service. So this is week 2 of going into a pre-order system only, which was developed by Talk, which I don't know if you know Talk reservation system. Fairly new to Denver market. We've been using it for a couple of years, but it was developed from the guys at Grand Rapids, the Linea folks in Chicago, Nick, and that whole crew decided to build a reservation system based on experiences. So it started in really the fine dining world. And over the last 3 weeks, they've pivoted their system to a pre-order system. And so I was like watching that the whole time and watching what that company was going to do. And I was like, I just thought that was really smart. So what we've done is like we started to bring employees back one at a time now. And again, we started a fund for our employees. We haven't met our goal with the fund, but we're actually, as people order through the system too, so many people are donating, and so many people when they order like hitting an extra $5. So it's been awesome. So yeah, we have something in place for our employees. We're paying all their benefits, all their health insurance. Is something our company is very proud of. And 2 years ago, offering health insurance for all of our employees. So tonight we're ramping up for services. And
show us around. Would you?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that'd be great. Yeah, just talking, walk and talking. So for folks that haven't been inside of Basta, yeah, it takes a second to kick in. So whichever camera on, just let it kick in. There it is. We got your face. Kick that around the other side and let it kick in. It'll take about, 2 seconds.
You tell me when. I don't know what I'm looking at. I can't see myself, so.
Well, you're looking at me, and I'm looking at you. So turn that camera around if you can. There, and it's gonna. There it is. Boom. We got you sitting at the bar.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, that's Caroline. Hey, Caroline.
Hi, Caroline.
So we're about to go into service here. We're open from 4 to 7, 4 days a week. But these are chit sheets from the Talk system. So what is coming from the pre-orders or going through the other systems is like people are calling. Like I said, we're getting orders on the fly. All of these orders have been placed before noon today. So I know at 4:30 that we have the crab pizza that I made up yesterday with snow crab and spinach is delicious. Duck pizza. There's a large format mezcal white Negronis and a kid's pizza. So there's no curveballs here. It's like what I love about this system. That's not only is like it's easier on the staff, the guests. There's no cash interaction. There's none of that, and that's kind of what Talk was set up for. Like if you're dining at a Linea, you go in and you never pull out your wallet. Essentially, you pay for everything with the whole experience up front. So they've converted their system now over to this new to-go experience. And if you go on our websites, you can check it out. It's actually pretty cool. I'm able to like throw SKUs like our fresh milled flour up, and I'm able to just really find out what I want to do every week, find out what's working, and we release these on Sunday or Monday. But yeah, we're about to go into service, and like I said, I know at what time. JJ breaking down the chickens, and this is what I love about it though. Like we know that we're selling 4 chickens tonight, and so instead of like pushing out a chicken on the fly, we decided to change what is normally like a half roasted chicken that happens, in the moment. We decided to take an hour in the hearth, low smoke the chicken, and then I know at 7:15 I'm giving that food a fighting chance, because we all know like certain food travels, other food doesn't travel well. And so having the ability to plate up exactly when we know that the guest has booked a reservation for tonight to pick up at our front door is as a cook, it gives me a lot of confidence around the food and the way it travels.
Yeah,
So
very.
it's pretty interesting. We don't know everything about this. I don't know anything about anything right now, but I know that we're trying and we keep seeing how does this system work. And what's fun about our community here in Colorado is like we're all kind of doing that. Even I had a conversation with Mark Vetri out of Philadelphia because he opened a pasta space right before this all hit, and it just like he'd been open for like 3 weeks. I was like, and just watching the line of what he's doing on Instagram around some of the. I'm just like, are you like looking at the fire right now?
I love it. I love it.
It's 3 feet of snow and fire. But yeah, so like, I talked to him and he's like, oh yeah, tell me about the pre-orders versus like ordering online. And, the guys that I love staying in contact with right now, like Caroline Glover and Tommy over at Hot Valley, watching what they're doing and the successes and failures. It's what a community to be in where we're like talking to each other and learning about it, what works, what doesn't work, as we all try to figure this thing out together.
Wow, cool. Also, there's a cocktailing element that you've added too.
Yeah, so our barman, you can see Robert here. Robert, say what up.
What's happening, Robert?
Yeah, this is his new world right now. And with the, so he's pre-batching mezcal Negronis and things like that just right out the front door, which is pretty insane. But no one would have ever predicted this. But one of the things we thought about this week with this new ordering system is really making things just like the food, just like the chicken, making things fresh. So we started this Saturday. We have a pop-up with Stephen Waters from Run for the Roses, which is down at the Dairy Block. Just a phenomenal bar program. He's real into like, he has a great selection of like throwback spirits. Like he's got rums from the 60s and, Fernet from the 50s. Like it's kind of insane, his collection. And
has he given you a deck of his playing cards?
Oh yeah. I love the cards and I love his bio.
Too.
And so he was picking up food last week, and I said, well, now with this new system, why don't we take the same approach with this to-go cocktail? So on Saturday, he's, he has these little like almost Capri Sun bags, and he's bringing up, his ice program, and we put 4 cocktails online, and they're all going to benefit his staff. All sales from all the cocktails are going back to his teams, and but he's making it. We have a little bar set up at the front door, so as a 7:15 reservation comes in, he's making the cocktail fresh, not pre-batched. You go home and you literally just like slam a straw in it, and it's like ready to go. So I think it's allowing it's not a. Can you see me now?
Yeah.
It flipped around. Okay. So it's. These things, I sound like, I don't know, kind of excited to talk about it and stuff. But at the same time, there's a reality of what's happening in the world around you where you're like, oh my God, it's like, what are we doing? And, but this type, I said this from the very beginning. And my first gut was like, we're going to just keep cooking no matter what, and then reality sets in and you're like, I need a chance to reflect and reset. So I had to take that like 2 weeks and really just, make sure our teams were comfortable and safe. And now coming back in this sort of, one foot in front of the other approach, to be patient and work on the food and work on the experience for the guest and, but still be out in the community. We've been, it's crazy watching all the restaurants that are taking so many hits and watching how much they're helping people right now, helping frontline workers. We've been lucky enough to, we've been able to provide some meals, but watching the guys down at Morin and watching the Max and Blake and their whole crew, watching what they're doing is insane. And I get inspired by it, and for, again, restaurants that are taking hits across the board. Just, we're starting a meal program this week where you can, on the same talk experience, as you're checking out, you can donate to our employee fund, but you can, right below, it's like, you want to buy a meal we're matching it. So if someone spends $25 on a meal, or they want to donate $25 for a family in Boulder, that we'll add $25 to that, and so that somebody is getting a hot meal tonight, and you can book that on there. So I think that it's crazy watching the community come together, watching hospitality restaurant what people feel like that is their responsibility, but it's really not. Like there's still food in the grocery store. So, but watching restaurants do this because there's a value to the type of food that we're cooking, I think that hopefully, again, we're looking back on it saying that was a helpful thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, so when the world gets turned on its ear and restaurants, what was it? How many days ago? I keep a tally. 32 days ago, shut down their dining rooms. It's in the DNA of service workers. Of you want to do that hospitality. You want to take care of people. So when you're not even sure about your job or your business, what's the first thing you do? Start to help other people. I mean, that's when you have that galvanizing moment. You truly of where you go, okay, who's doing what and how are they doing it? And that minute that you took to self-reflect, I think that's just pruning the tree, chef, and figuring out where you need to make sure the trunk is healthy. Because how can you serve other folks around you or your employee if you're not good?
Right.
It's just not possible. So I think there's a lot of that going on right now. I think that there's lessons that are being learned. Lean and mean is another thing of figuring out, what's the most basic things that your business needs to be able to run, and then adding on from there to be able to regroup and turn it back up. So folks are trying to figure out, people are doing business with people. And you're figuring out your relationships, whether it's your whoever handles your spices or your produce, or these are things. It's like, how much money do I owe you? Okay, I only have this much, and this is what I can do. And you're figuring out how to do it. But communication's been key. I'm sure you've been figuring that out. So as I talk about it, that the putting the brakes on things and changing your business, that's not easy to do, but it's even harder to ramp back up. What will your businesses look like? How are you with food and vendors, and are you good with that? Are you going to be able to bring in the amount of liquor? I mean, some folks, yes, some folks are going through their inventory and they don't want to.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, you think about what's happening right now, and we didn't just get wiped out by a fire or flood, right? We still have our walls. We're not having to replace the materials of the restaurant, right? Mm-hmm. But your inventories are a big issue, people lost, I can't even imagine, in larger restaurants. And so I always, like, our restaurants are, again, we don't have a single like happy hour almost in our company, and we just, because I always thought this wasn't like sustainable on some level, and this is really exposing what has been flawed about the restaurant business for so long too. So you and I could probably talk about that for another 2 hours, because you're seeing this stuff come out about tips and tip pulling and stuff. I'm running a remote reservationist right now for this system, and she can't be a part of the tip pull because she's not on site. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? You don't want her to come to the building. She's not supposed to come to the building, and
Yet
she
she's
should
excluded.
be getting. And she's running service, and we're figuring out how to do that. But the laws aren't, not necessarily on our side with that. But inventories and little things like that. I mean, there's so many little details. People look and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna open Wolfs again, which we hope to do one service next week, and then we'll align it with what we've learned at Basta to really set Wolfs up. We want to sell the flour there. I want to sell the grains. We're right in the middle of changing the menu there anyway, and making some staff changes, and but right now is when we plant the gardens in the back, and so we're figuring all that out and what we're planting and a farm schedule. And you're like, to think about that in the middle of this, I'm like, okay. Yeah, I just talked to Row 7 Seeds, who we work with up with Chef Dan Barber, and their whole team like immediately reached out to us about seeds. And it's like, I just woke up thinking about seeds this morning. So inventory, the little things. But, right now, like you said, our vendors have been incredibly supportive. I think the Colorado community as a whole is incredibly, and it's not, that doesn't go just for Colorado. You see awesome things coming out of this from every state right now, people that just want to help. But no, our vendors have been incredibly flexible. Big shout out to, I mean, like Growers Organic and Seattle Fish Company and all those companies, because we were like, I don't know that we can pay you,
Yeah.
right? And I don't know how, but I needed like 50 fish last week, you know, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna get you 50 fish. I'm like, oh, great, man. So it's case by case, but as a whole, we primarily work with local farms or, you know, those. So that's been interesting to watch, the farmers and ranchers, what's happening right now. I called because we wanted to start doing produce pickups because we don't have the Boulder County Farmers Market. It's not happening. And I said, well, bring the farms over to Dry. We'll do a pickup. And, you know, a lot of the farms are doing really, really well, which is a very, you know, I've never sold so much flour and heirloom grains right now. With
Do
this
you mind,
whole,
I wanted to ask you about that. So pre-corona,
Oh.
talk about Noble Grain Alliance just for a minute, and we'll talk from there.
Yeah, so Noble Grain Alliance shifted this over the course of the last year, but we started with the intention of really activating a local grain movement. Since then, a great organization and great founders, Colorado Grain Chain, formed. So they're really focused on the local, and I really felt like we need to give more of a voice nationally. And I also felt like, as I was selling like a $12 loaf of bread, how we're going to get these grains to all communities. So we kind of shifted the focus this last year into food insecurity, feeding people, and also, you know, giving a voice on a national level, kind of getting the grain and the mill, the other millers in other states, sort of this collective voice. So we've been working on that, but, you know, simultaneously, we've also built, you know, which is our sort of for-profit side with the breads and everything at Dry Storage. But we were able to find a space last month, and it was again right in the middle of this, but to start a full-scale mill, grain mill. So we started about a year ago with a farm in San Luis Valley, Sara and Michael Jones, amazing farmers, but we planted 4 varieties and harvested about 60,000 pounds. So we started bringing all that up immediately. We've been milling flour every day. We thought that I was really focused on just getting that flour to chefs only. And then all of a sudden in the middle of this, there's no restaurants. And then we flipped over and everyone's buying flour 5-pound bags. So we've been selling, you know, 500, 700 pounds a week of fresh milled heirloom grain flour and coming out of this. And so, yeah, in 2 weeks, we move everything over to that new facility. And that's been crazy to watch, you know.
Where did your love for the heritage wheats and corn, where'd that come from?
Yeah. So I always talk about, everybody's like, oh, he's so super into grains. When I was a line cook in LA, I was very focused on, like, I've always been interested in what I felt like, or the revival of sort of the food supply chain. So when I was on the West Coast, I'm a part of the Monterey Bay Blue Ribbon Task Force. There's 50 chefs. We were focused on a lot of things that had to do with the oceans, and I was a big part of trash fish dinners and really looking at that. But once I moved back to Colorado, you know, again, I was like, I was looking for more seasonality in my food. I didn't understand what happens in January in Colorado because I hadn't really been a cook in January in Colorado.
Sure.
And then, so that got me thinking more and more, you know, about the grains, and then really the impact side of things. You know, grain is a medium for change for us, because when we have the problems of what's happening in rural farming, Colorado, even mental health with farmers, job creation, what's the sustainability and viability around our farming system?
It's like going back in time 40 years when you go to some of these farming towns.
Yeah.
The cars are like 19. It's very impoverished, and this is the heart of America, people. And needs more awareness, I believe, as well. And you talk about food insecurity. You'd never think that these folks, you know, it's like you live in all these farmlands, but, you know, they're not going to sit there and eat potatoes all day long because they have an abundance of that. But food insecurity runs rampant in our food producers.
Yeah. And so what you touched on the beginning, like, we're very for the humanity, and what I know sounds like crazy right now. I don't want to say it
doesn't.
But you know, that's where we started our company. That's what we founded it on. And So that allowed us, and then really it became much more of a soil issue too, and the climate. So with the proper rotation and all that, grains are one of those things that aren't incredibly they don't need a ton of water, and so where they're growing alfalfa in the valley, it's much better to grow heirloom grains. So we've started, it's really soil, people, all this stuff, and then, oh, by the way, as a cook, I like to make pasta or whatever. Like
Got it.
it's very last
I see
to
that.
yeah, so it's very last to if I felt like my local farmers market growing beets might have a massive impact, maybe I'd be doing beets. It's not. It's just that grain is one of those things that is a massive medium for change, for climate,
Yeah.
for people, for farming, and so especially in Colorado, Boulder was founded on wheat. This whole valley used to be just all grain in the 1900s, and so you look at that and you say, well, we have the right place for it. We also have, by the way, 400 whatever distillers, brewers, and everybody's using grain. So it really, people think, oh, that's a wheat issue or a gluten issue. It's really like, no, this is like corn and other things that it's not a gluten. It's really all encompassing grains is what we focus on. I sell rice polenta that we mill. We sell corn, polenta, and so it's for us it's a broader
It just happened
thing
to
around.
transcend into the food. Yeah.
Yeah.
And while I'd be remiss and I've got you, I want to ask you about the gluten. What's up? What's the difference, or what's up with European grains versus the United States grains, and why are we so gluten intolerant here in the States, Chef?
Yeah, well, Europe's right behind us, so we can't. People
Okay.
kept saying like, oh, we could go to Europe and eat the bread. Well, they were like 10 years behind this big factory farm, this movement. But yeah, we had in early 1930, whatever, 50, we had 25 grain elevators in Boulder County. Now we have 0. And so this mass to big production, crops being sprayed, things like that. I mean, it's a combination of things, but essentially by the time you go to a market, and I very rarely dive deep into gluten issues because I'm just like, man, I just want to make delicious bread.
Yeah, sure.
And I'll just say during this movement, a lot of people forgot about their gluten and sensitivities. So, but
right.
yeah, but to the point of like someone being able to eat ours is a combination of two things, like fermentation and the process of slowing down the mill so that the nutrients stay intact. When you combine those two things, without good, like the fermentation, your body doesn't necessarily process the same way. So you need a little bit of that fermentation on the bread, and then you need heirloom grains that still, large grain mills, they strip out all the nutrients and then they enrich it and bring it back. And that a combination of these things are why I always say, like, it's not, when you stop eating bread and you feel better, that's because most likely the bread you stopped eating was not great for you. And now all of a sudden you like feel better. You're like, oh, wow, I feel so much better. But your body actually needs those type of nutrients. And so we're seeing it right now more than ever, right? I saw this thing the other day on top products that have, exploded. And number 2 is the tabletop bread maker at 640% growth in the last 2 months on that product. It was number 2, like most sold product. Tabletop bread makers, man. I mean, this has started, and if people are like, oh man, everybody wants flour, it's like, we started this kind of idea around this, 5-10 years ago. That's through the work of Noble Grain Alliance and I'm definitely not the only one. Moxie Bread Company, and just there's so many good people that kind of have seen this coming for a long time and also said, look, we need to rethink our food system. That has allowed, but having, next week we receive, we're bringing our next wave up from the valley. Chris Gozar, Mountain Mama Milling in the San Luis Valley is doing all of our cleaning right now until our facility's set up. I mean, he jumps right in, and he's just one of those dudes that's like, whoa, man, thank you. And he's cleaning all the grain. So next week we'll have another, almost 20,000 pounds of 4 varieties of Colorado grown, all organic heirloom grain milling in Boulder.
How do folks get their hands on that?
Right now we're just, again, our pre-order system.
Pre-order
We're selling flour, but I am taking the flour back. I do think that Denver could benefit, and Sunnyside neighborhood, and all the Sunnysiders and the Highland folks, like, to have the flour there. So I haven't like totally worked out what I want to do at Wolf's, but I know that we're going to sell some flour there as well in Denver.
I think we start with taking that Rage Against the Machine song and just changing it up a little bit. Take the flour back instead of take the power back, man. We just get that movement, man. I love.
Yeah.
And Jay, what's your favorite thing to eat in this world?
Bread.
Bread.
Yeah.
Like most and many. So if you go to Basta, and I'm looking at this ordering platform, first of all, I want to look at this Carolyn Clark video, Hospitality Heroes, episodes #1.
Yeah, check out Wolf's too. I do one on Wolf's that is kind of it's kind of strange too. But Wolf's homepage has a video too. Those are both shot by our good friend Jimena, and they were shot I don't know, last year at some point, and we put them back up because I was like, man, I was looking for something, and then those videos popped up, and I was like, we got to put those back up there. So
you mind if I play a taste of this?
No, please go ahead.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna play a taste of this.
I'm constantly thinking about the craftsmen and who are the true heroes. What's the backbone of what we do in this massive explosion of restaurants or service? So the Wolfs Tailor is the idea of the sheep in wolf's clothing. You don't know who's what, right? It's kind of like who's the sheep, who's the wolf. But if you take a step back and look at the whole story, you have to understand that without hospitality heroes, or without the craftsman or the fisherman or the farmer or the cook or the dishwasher, just that person is making a suit for somebody. If the wolf didn't have a perfect suit crafted by somebody, then he would starve. So without the heroes, I think that
I just got the goosebumps.
This world wouldn't move forward.
Man, that is good. That continues on. That's 51 seconds of 6 minutes and 26 seconds of That's Going to Be My Life. After the show, I'm going to watch that. That's on Wolfs Tailor's website there. It's very clean. I can't. How would you describe that? Just the videography of that.
Of that video. I mean, Jimena is very, very talented. She's always looking for her site's Comino Food Stories. I encourage everyone to check it out. She's been doing this work for years, again, trying to tell the story of like sort of behind what is happening in the restaurants. And but yeah, she's just one of those that has, she sees it. She sees the value of what a neighborhood restaurant means of all spectrums, not just like the fine dining place, but she sees everything down to like the great taqueria and the great, just a great value add of what restaurants, mean. And I love reflecting on that because I think, what happens on the other side of this and how many restaurants survive. And, our group is so focused on getting the model right. I hope we can be of service to the other restaurants that maybe weren't quite able to pivot or might not figure out as well, because I just think that all restaurants are important, and anybody that's trying to do it, we need to support right now in big ways of every level, not our restaurant group, but I always say, like, anybody that, has their favorite restaurant right now, go to them. Don't give to us. Don't give to my teams unless you just have a lot left over, but support your people that you supported before and get in there and try to, take care of those people. But yeah, that was a great video. The section that after that, plays what you played was this part where I talk about hospitality being, a derivative from the word, like hospital and caregiver. And I was like, man, that was crazy to think back a year ago. I wouldn't even think about connecting the two industries. But I think, watching what's happening right now in hospitality and hospitals and watching, that exists in places like what Daniel Hume's doing at 11 Madison Park and other restaurant, from the big restaurants to the little ones, being supporting that. You'd never connect, that type of hospitality, taking care of those type of people in New York right now. It just blows my mind. I just you don't connect those two,
And you should. And what about Chef in Chief?
Yeah.
Seeing a lot of chefs really step up right now with their organizations, and I'd say support Basta and your endeavors. You're saying not to. I mean, obviously, you have a lot of people that support the IE hospitality family. But if you want to order, you can't do it today. It's not going to happen for you today. But tomorrow, there's always tomorrow, and that's the good thing. All right, let's do this. The moments, the galvanizing moments, the lessons to be learned. As I look behind you, as a beautiful snowy backdrop on a spring day, and life continues to just motor on and perpetuate. What are the things that you've learned yesterday and today that may be able to be applicable to the future, of things that are working for you now and you would have discovered them if it wasn't for this nasty outbreak right now?
Yeah. I think it's important to try to, especially in leadership roles right now, for people to try to stay above the trees, make sure that they are taking care of themselves and that their minds are right as they go into each day, because I think that the way that we can be most helpful to each other, our teams, is, keeping a positive attitude and keeping the kindness thing rolling. But those that kind of get a glimpse above the trees can look back at that day and be like, you know what, like, tomorrow I can change this, and this. Like, if you can take 2 moments to get above that and reflect a little bit, you're going to learn so much. And that's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to balance out, work out, do whatever you could do, which,
Hey, when did you do this?
I did that. I started about 2-3 weeks ago, and I did it. I immediately did it and posted about my barber. I'll shout out my barbers right now. I love Truman guys. They're in Boulder. I love the Rosemont guys. There's so many and good barbers in Justin over here in Boulder too. But big shout out to the barbers, because they're in. I've always like, man, you guys are hospitality. You guys are craft. It's been this like kind of crazy thing that's happened in Colorado the last couple of years. But I did that, and I still pay for my haircuts, although they're not even close to what they are. So the first one I sent to Truman. But if you're listening and you cut your own hair now, give the money to your barber shop still.
Oh,
so
that's such a good thought.
Tomorrow I am buzzing again, and my next one's going to Izzy down at Rosemont, because Izzy has the best fades and he's a master of his craft, and my hair looks terrible now. But I'm going to give my, $30-$40 to Izzy tomorrow when I shave my head again. So don't forget about the barbers out there.
Kelly, you got some badass hair too, man. And so I've been threatening on the stream. I've been saying, okay, because my, it's out of control, and why not?
Yeah.
It's just hair; it'll grow back, right?
Yeah.
I've been threatening it, and I'm looking for a reason to trust me. I am, but I don't have that. My head is a big old round blob. Kelly, you've got form to your head. I mean, you can pull that off, man. I mean, I don't know, but you're right. Pay it forward to the folks that take care of you, right?
Yeah. You got to think of those things like, where did I do that before? Oh yeah, I'm gonna take, gives that $30 there, like, as long as we can, and and again, it's stimulus checks are coming for some folks, and if you don't need that stimulus check, you put it right back into people that do right now. I'll just encourage that too. Like, throw it back in if you don't need it, but because a lot of people do. So, I don't know.
Yes, so Chef Kelly Whitaker here with us, and just final moments with you. There's a lot of industry people that watch the stream, and friends and family of yours. Take a minute, just talk to them about what you're going to see and galvanize us.
I don't know. Put me on the spot, but no, like I said, be good to each other right now, I think, is the biggest thing. I watched something. Ellen Bennett's a good friend of mine. She makes aprons in LA, and watching those companies pivot last night, she got on and she's talked about some of the nasty emails she was getting into her customer service folks, because the masks weren't arriving on time, or this wasn't, and she really pleaded. It was very inspiring. I thought I was inspired by that last night by Ellen Bennett, because, and I've known her. She was a line cook at Providence in Los Angeles, where I cooked as well. And, watching her pivot a whole company around that, and then hearing the nastiness of, like, of people just not quite, getting the right experience right now. And she's
Right.
like, dude, do you realize Amazon is 4 weeks out and you're complaining about, it's like, everybody slow down.
Yeah.
We're going to reset. We're going to rebuild. And I think that resetting certain things like our work around grain or the farmers, and these are things that as we rebuild, I just, it's giving us an opportunity. And I hate to say that, like in the middle of a time like this, that there's an opportunity right now for us to reset and fix some of the things that have been wrong with our industry for a long time and other industries. But right now, if you're not getting what you need fast enough, just chill out.
Yeah.
Take a chill.
I know.
Yeah.
Listen, I'll put you on the spot more often because you're right on the money with that. And we're seeing good things out of a lot of people. And humanity is showing something right now that I don't think I've ever seen in my 47 years. So, we'll grab that smile when we can. We'll forge forward. We'll be innovative. We'll be there for each other. And my friend joining us on the show today meant the world to me. So I appreciate
thanks
that.
for having me, man. And thanks for staying live. And thanks for doing what you're doing, guys.
Appreciate it.
I'm glad I could be a part of it in a small way here. So
yeah, you did. Now back to work, right? We'll say hello to Freeman for you. Brian Freeman loves you to death.
Oh, please do.
Yeah, you bet. Mask is on and
Mask
Kelly's
is on.
out. There it is.
Thank
Thanks
you,
so much. There
Thank
he is.
you.
Right
Thank
there.
you.
Wow, that's cool, man. What'd you think of that, Jay?
I liked it. That was a great interview, and he's a good dude.
Total good dude.
And a smart dude. And he's right. When he says, and it's, how a good dude from not a good dude is when you during something like this, you see the potential of something good coming from it, but you still have to say like, I hate to say that something good is going to come from this, but it does,
All right. Before we go to our next interview, Larry Herz standing by. And I've got to tell you about Jeff Rourke and A+ Beverage Solutions, and why not? You're seeing folks getting ready. We are more than halfway through. Sitting on the bench, day 32 out of 57, 25 days ago. All I see with that 25 days to go is get your tap lines ready, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Clean them out, get them brushed up, add a line if you need to, or just do a full-on new install if you want to go that direction and really wow your guests. Put your money to good use, and good use is making sure your tap lines are cleaned. A+ Beverage Solutions, owned by Jeff Rourke and his family, Kristen, and their lovely 3 daughters. Jeff's outnumbered by 4 women in his house. If anything, just get Jeff out of the house. Take him up on this deal.
That's right.
It's $10 per line, and he'll clean them out for you and have them all ready to go. Most trusted man in the business. Get a hold of him, 720-272-3809. If you're pouring inefficient beer, what are you doing, Jay?
You're pouring your money down the drain.
Please do not be that person. Please do not pour your money down the drain. Give him a call, 720-272-3809. Jeff Rourke and A+ Beverage Solutions. OCN Eats. And Larry, I got to get Larry's stuff ready here. What's happening, brother? How are you?
I feel bad saying this now, but my last name is Herz.
Yeah, Herz. I say Hertz.
Yeah.
Yeah, Herz. I try and do it. I
People
know
do it all the time. I probably should have told you that earlier today.
I mean, words of my life. But I think if you hear me say Herz, it's the T just comes off there.
Oh, I don't blame you.
But it's hers.
Yeah, you heard it wrong.
Yeah, like his and hers.
Yeah, I think it, originally was Gertz, and then at Ellis Island it got changed, and people, that's what happened. So I'm certainly not offended by it.
Hey, listen, got to get the names right. That's all we really have in life. You sent over this is cool because he's a friend of all of us, and I don't know a person that doesn't like Jason McGovern from Crush Pizza and Tap. Restaurant Tours, which I love the play on names. I don't know how in the world did it? No one. It just seems so obvious, right?
When I Googled it on searched, I'm like, there's no show, Restaurant Tours.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Check this out, and then we'll talk to Larry here. But this is Restaurant Tours Season 2, Episode number 7.
It's a good one.
On Restaurant Tours on OCN Eats, we're in the Highlands neighborhood in Denver, Colorado. We're going to go visit my friend Jason at Crush Pizza and Tap. Let's go eat.
Hey, Larry.
Hey, Larry.
Thanks for having me, Jay. I'm excited to be here. I love your place.
His name's Jason, not Jay, Larry.
Thanks, buddy. Come on back to the kitchen. Let's see what's going on.
Too long a name, Jason.
Yeah, I agree. Those wings, though.
Here, crushed pizza with
I just
Jason.
had
We're in the
him.
kitchen. He's going to show us how he makes his famous Sicilian. Let's see what you got.
Perfect. Easy. We're going to grab one of our Sicilian doughs, and if you want to take a look at that. So once we make the dough, we let it proof out in the kitchen. We portion it, put it in the walk-in. It's going to proof again, and then we're going to pull it out of the walk-in and set it on these racks back here so it rises kind of this room temperature.
What's in the dough? What are your ingredients?
Pretty simple. Flour, olive oil, salt, yeast. That's it. But we try to keep it very true to pizza. You know, we don't put too many things in there that messes it up, to be honest. This is some sliced local cheese that we get. It's a very easy to eat cheese. If you want to try it, Larry, it's delicious. Yeah, we get this from Leprino. It's a high-end, high-fat content mozzarella cheese. We're just going to layer this in,
Delicious.
keeping in mind that we want to go gentle on the pizza because I don't want to knock out all that gas that's already created in there. We're going to take this and we're going to layer it up just like that. I'm going to add some fresh sliced garlic. And this one, we're going to add a little ricotta to the top. This is our lemon ricotta pizza. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put some dollops of ricotta on here. Once we do that, we're going to sprinkle just a little bit of Parmesan on here for a little nutty flavor. I want to get that cheese on the outside. It's touching the pan right there. We want to get that nice and fried and bubbly. And then when it comes out of the oven, you'll see it'll be nice and golden brown around the edges of the pan.
And how long would that take?
About 13 to 14 minutes.
Guess what I want to eat?
Gosh almighty.
Guess what I want now, Larry?
Guess who was on What's for Lunch today?
Was it Jason?
You know it.
Sweet.
He brought me the lemon ricotta. He brought me the Royale with cheese and his buffalo green chili wings.
I'll tell you what, he's got a good he's got a good in front of the camera look to him. He presents himself well.
Yeah, he carries himself really well. I love. We've done a lot of work together, social media wise, video wise. I just enjoy his company. It's weird. Like he sent me a picture the other day of us together, and he goes, "Love you, man." Like who does that?
Yeah, Jason or Jay.
Yeah, just you know, he's a man who could say "I love you" to another man. You don't get a lot of them.
Yeah. So you're willing to feature folks in restaurant tours, and they can reach out to, but they can also be a client of Jason's a client of yours, right?
So interesting how that all happened. It was maybe a year and a few months ago. I don't know if you remember. He did the Crushed Pizza Challenge.
Yeah.
He was eating pizza every day.
Yeah.
And I saw it on Instagram. I'm like, oh my God, this dude's crazy. I've got to go meet this guy. At that point, he was maybe 30 days in. So I went down there and I interviewed him, and we wrote an article about him for OCN. And that's the first time I'd eaten his food, met him, and we hit it off, and we started going out and eating together. And then eventually he's like, when am I going to become your client? I'm like, I thought we were friends. You know, I wasn't trying to get you as a client. He's like, no, I'm ready. I'm like, fine, let's do it. And I think it's worked out very well for both of us. His sales were good, but they're better now. And it's a nice win-win because he's willing to do anything. Like coming here today, bringing me pizza and wings, driving in this from Low-High all the way to the DTC to be on a 10-minute show. Mm-hmm. Of course he would do it.
It's a big deal. But here's the thing, and Larry Herz with us. that made you very simple to make you happy, Larry. For OCN Eats and many capabilities with our community now and that network, and we've had the honor to be able to join forces just this last week to be on your platform, and we appreciate that. Thank you very much to give us a few more eyeballs. That means the world to us.
You're welcome.
And
you should probably tell your listeners that maybe tomorrow we'll try and cross-post my show onto your platform.
Yeah, you do What's for Lunch. And
Yeah.
Jason was on there. Actually, today would have been a good day to do that. We're busy with meetings this morning, and tomorrow's another day. But right now, I think it's important to talk. You have vast resources to be able to help folks out that are just like Jason. Your specialty is with restaurants and restaurant exposures and restaurants connecting with their patrons or customers, if you will. That's a great service. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know what I think we should talk about and plug right now is any restaurant owner for free could be on What's for Lunch any day of the week, that I'm not booked already.
Mm-hmm.
It's 10 minutes, more or less, and it goes out to our 800,000 followers on Facebook. You could cross-post it to your Facebook page too. All you have to do is DM me and come on down and bring me a lunch, and we'll talk and plug your restaurant. For those people who, are looking like, how can I market my restaurant right now? And that's how, who else
There it is.
that?
Yeah, that's a gimme. And take him up. Take Larry Herz up on this and DM him on, which is the best channel to DM you on?
OCN Eats Instagram. I'm on it a lot, too much.
He's on it. And Larry's here. He wants to help. We've had quite a few meetings with Larry, and just a restaurant guy through and through.
Can we go back to Kelly for a sec?
Did you watch any of that?
Of course I watch it.
Okay, good. I just was checking, doing your homework. I like that.
I got to make sure that I'm talking about what you're talking about or not.
Sure. What's going on? What do you think?
Well, I went. I actually have never met him.
Yep.
He had a guy on social media who invited me to come down and check it out. And this was before they were open for dinner. It was like just during prep. And the guy's the new guru. I don't know if you've heard about him. He's an interesting guy. Doesn't matter right now. So I was in their kitchen with their cooks, I don't know, for an hour, just talking to them. And I'd never, I've been in a few kitchens in my life. I've owned and managed, when you add them all together, 20 restaurants. So I've seen some things. These guys were so passionate, so knowledgeable, the integrity of the ingredients. I was blown away as they were explaining to me about the coal that they use for their grill and where they get it from and why they use this coal. I was like, Jesus, I probably shouldn't tell them that I buy my foods from Shamrock.
Probably not. No,
they do not.
Yeah.
I promise you that.
No judgment, though. But you're right. That's on a whole different level, and it's a ecosystem of people, of like-minded people that really want the best of invest. And honestly, Larry, as the Modern Eater goes, and we've been throughout the years, we like to connect people with those stories to be able to. Let me guess what I'm doing. All right, we don't need to do an update during the show in order to make that food taste that much more delicious, because you're connected with the actual agriculture or the farm, or how this cow or pig was raised, or how the grains and where they're milled, and just the people. It's amazing, this industry and the capabilities and the people that are in it. It's fantastic.
It makes me realize how shitty of an operator I was.
Oh, I doubt that. What's closed and what's opened up, Larry, with just a minute or two left?
Yeah, we can get to that. And then I do one last. I do want to do a plug before we go. But interestingly enough, Bellevue Tap and Burger reopened today.
In what form?
They closed completely. Now they're doing delivery to the buildings that they're in. Which is, I don't know, the Den and Mile High Modern, I think it's called, on Bellevue, right there off at I-25. They're doing the same menu that they're doing at Highland Tap, which is it's great for the residents there, because most of the restaurants in that Bellevue station have closed. And then I got today a delivery, and I haven't tried it yet.
Ruth's Chris is in that building, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think they're open.
I don't think they are either.
Shanahan's is open. Check. Oddly enough.
Yeah. Steaks to go.
Have you seen this? Have you seen this product?
And put it there you go. No, what is that, Larry?
It's a company in Boulder. It's a ginger beer company. I haven't tried it yet. This is a carrot turmeric Olico. So I'm going to give it a shot. Ginger,
okay.
Carrot turmeric, ginger beer.
All right. carrot turmeric.
You've never drank it before. We don't sound the same. I can hear my
it
voice
tastes
in
like
your ears.
curry, doesn't it?
It's freaking delicious.
Is it really? Is it refreshing?
Oh God, yeah. They
I
also
think
brought me. The crazy thing is they do delivery. They deliver ginger beer to you. This one is green apple cardamom. Give that a shot.
Green apple cardamom.
That's pretty freaking good too.
Is it really?
It's so good. Do you like ginger beer?
Yeah, I do.
You like mules?
I do indeed.
Imagine making a mule with green apple cardamom.
I want to try. Can you put a couple of those aside for our next meeting?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Gotta keep it local, support local. Olico up in Boulder.
Tomorrow's Friday. What are we going to cover tomorrow, Larry?
I'll come up with something. Who am I looking at, by the way? Who's coming up after me?
Man, that's Dr. Baby Yoda right there.
Hello there.
Hey.
Hey, you got any problems? You want to lay on Dr.
Do you have a couch? You got a few hours?
I should be doing these on the couch.
Probably should.
And I was just talking with Jason about this is kind of the mental health or the opportunity that we have right now in our lives is unprecedented. I'm looking at this month as an opportunity, at these 2 months, whatever they may be. I'm trying to get closer with my kids, my wife. I'm trying to improve my business. I'm improving my health. I'm working out harder than ever. Take advantage of this free time. Jason at Crush is learning Spanish.
Wow.
Yeah, no kidding.
Look at it as an opportunity, right?
And all I'm doing is eating more.
Life hands you lemons, right?
What the hell's going on with me? That's right. Jay took up smoking cigarettes.
Yeah. I quit for about close to 20 years, and then I'm like, let's fire him back up.
Larry, that's a good point. It really is. Right now, we talk about the inventory, and you're taking inventory with your business and that, but you've really got to be the best person that you can be before you can provide to anybody else. All right, cool. Well, so if you need a couch to sleep on, Larry, because it doesn't work with your wife and your daughter, and they're just like, that's not going to happen, then come on over. Jay's got
a couch for me?
Well, Jay does. Jay does. Larry Herz with us.
Sounds better, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. See you tomorrow, Larry.
Thanks, buddy.
There you go, Larry Herz. What a show today was, and we missed this young lady. How are you, Dr. Sara Metz?
Well, it only took 2 days of me not being on the show for Jay to take up smoking again after 16 years. That feels like something.
Yeah, something like that.
Larry loved it so much, he's back. Larry, hang up. He's like, I am. There you are. Okay, so you have a job, is what you're telling us.
Oh, sometimes. Yeah, no, every now and then I should probably check in with my real job.
Yeah, you should. You look okay today. Happy.
Thank you.
Well, the other day you were a little like you and Mr. Nick.
Yeah. Oh.
Going at each other a little bit.
Oh, you get 2 type A people in a room, this is gonna happen.
So he's not alive right now, is what you're saying.
Oh, only one can win. Yes, exactly. 2 elves go in, 1 comes.
Yeah, and there you are. You and the dog.
Me and the dog. She's being very key right now.
Yeah, it's a good day. I had a good day.
Did you? Was it a good show?
I think so. We got just some very insightful people. I like kind of the show. I get to draw from other very creative types' energy.
That's a cool thing about, this physical distancing, but then you actually end up connecting more with people that you might not otherwise have connected with. That's kind of a cool little side part of this.
Yeah, it is. Just in case you've been counting, 32 out of 57 days, 25 days to go before you go to your favorite restaurant.
Oh.
How it's going to look, I don't know. 22 days of shelter in place. Got a little while to go with that, too. For the most part, here's what I'm seeing, Doctor. There's a lot of in-home vacationing going on right now.
Is that we've moved right out of trauma and crisis and just chill and
just taking it easy. I worry about getting going again. I use the gym analogy as like, you put yourself on the bench long enough and it's easy to just go. You get an injury or whatever. You go stop and then, okay, I'm tomorrow. How are we going to get going?
That's going to be tough. I think in some ways we're going to have to kind of pull from, I'll be nerdy about it and talk about performance psychology. And some of what that requires is people really starting to imagine what it's going to be like to go back and get back into that routine and really start to use visualization to get them motivated again. I agree. You kind of get lost in this new routine, and it seemed almost like I said, traumatic for a while, and now it just feels normal, and it's not. So trying to figure out what the new normal after the new normal is going to look like is going to be strange for people. I was watching your show from the other day back, and Chef Brother Luck, I thought made such a good point, and it's still resonating with me, and it was such simple advice. But he said, push the pause button. And it's like, well, that's exactly what people should be doing, is pause, reflect, really figure out where you're at and where you want to go. I think is something everyone can be doing as they prepare to get their routine back.
Prepare to get your routine back. I try and offer, I look at the news and I look at the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, and that funding going out, and then seeing some restaurants to where it doesn't make sense for some tipped employees to even go back to work right now. They're making more money sitting on the bench.
Right.
And you look at that and you encourage folks to get things back to normal. What do you do when you're faced in a position to where it's easier to go on the dole. It's easier to get a little take here, not pull there's value in pulling your weight. Isn't there, doctor?
And that comes back to meaning and purpose. It's not just about a paycheck. If life is just about a paycheck to you, you're going to be sorely unimpressed with your life when you're on your deathbed someday. You really have to think about, what is my meaning and purpose? And yeah, you might be making more money, on unemployment than you do if you were working. But set your intention for, what is my purpose? What am I contributing to the world? What am I contributing to people that matter to me? And I think that can kind of sometimes help people be a little bit more motivated to get off their bum and be out there doing something.
Contribute.
Yeah, you got to contribute. You have to have meaning and purpose. If you don't have a clear sense of what your meaning and purpose is, you are going to struggle from time to time with depression and anxiety and energy and motivation. If you don't know why you get up and why you get things done, I have to remind myself of that. Everybody does. Some days you just don't want to. But when you think back to, okay, what happens if I don't? People suffer, or somebody suffers. That gets you up.
Yeah. And your purpose, or having purpose, can very well give other people purpose.
It is. And human beings are pack animals. We have to keep in mind, we're all members of a pack. Who is your pack? And if you're not participating in your pack, you're holding that group, that team back a bit.
Jay, did you know that? Purpose?
I was checking the audio on Facebook, so I took one ear out, so I missed. Give me the last 10 seconds.
Blah, blah, blah. Meaning, purpose, pack animal, and stop smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably feel comfortable saying that my biggest problem mentally, as far as insanity and crazy and depression and all those fun things that get rolled up into my head, is not knowing what I want to do. And I'm only 43, so I'm young and I have the whole world ahead of me. That was a joke, but that's probably my biggest thing. Is not knowing what I want to do.
Does anybody ever? Do you live for the day, doctor?
I mean, it seems like a lot of people do, or at least have a better idea about it.
Well, I think it should change. I think if, everyone talks about what you're supposed to have it all figured out when you're 18 and you pick a college or you pick a profession, that's bull. What they want for the rest of their life when they're 18. I think we should constantly be shifting that. So if you don't know, then you're probably in this mild state of discomfort because you don't know what the next step looks like for you. And that's okay. It just means you got to put some reserve, some time and space to start figuring out what that looks like.
You need a vacation, Jay.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Would you be able to relax? Would you enjoy yourself?
I don't know. And it's, this is why I hate talking, is because the things I say, I feel like they're so negative and terrible. But it's, so when you say, would you be able to enjoy yourself? The first thought that popped into my mind was, well, if I was drinking. Yeah, right. So being sober.
How about just a drink?
Well, but I don't know how to do that.
You
You
don't?
know, I mean, it's the same thing with cookies. As much self-control as I have, it's like if I can quit the cigarettes, I can quit the booze, I can quit anything. If I enjoy it, right? If I enjoy fast food, which I do because it's just sodium and your brain wants it, it's like I'm not good with just a number 4 with large with fries.
4 or 5.
I want a number 4 large with fries and 2 tacos.
But that's okay, right, Doc?
And 2 tacos.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, see, that's my thing is I'm not real good in moderation. And when I say I'm not real good in moderation, I mean, I don't even know what moderation is.
That's most of us, right?
Well, and that's the thing is we humans don't moderate well. We don't like it, especially when we're anxious or struggling. We want to self-soothe, and we aren't taught how to self-soothe in school. We're not taught how to self-soothe at work. And so we tend towards the easy forms of self-soothing, which tends to be food.
Yeah.
Those are the easiest. They don't require that much effort from us. So they feed the brain in all the wrong ways in the short term, and we don't learn all the other skills.
Damn it. Jay, why can't I just enjoy a cucumber in a Sprint?
Right? That's
hey,
that way.
Man, I've long longed for meeting a hypnotherapist and saying, can you just change my brain to feel this way about these things? You know what I mean? Like that exercise. I have fun when I exercise, right? Or yes, I enjoy raw broccoli some nights without anything else to go with it. And of course, and I'll be the first to admit that that's what I want, the easiest way out.
You know what the doctor would say? The doctor would say, Jay, just add 1 or 2 of those things to your life and don't remove the other. Add a few good things, right?
Broccoli, keep the cookie. There you go.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Right?
I think that, man, I don't know.
Here's what's up, doctor. I've got an email. 2 days? It's only been 2 days. People have been like mourning you not being here.
Shucks.
Yeah, where is she? Like just this anxiety from disconnection from you, and I felt it too.
I'm here. They tell them they can always reach out if they need something when I'm not on the show. They can message me on Facebook.
Oh no, you're ours. That's it. No way.
There you go.
Not sharing.
You don't respond to them unless they hit your Venmo account. With $2. Like $2 questions. Go. You
could have a whole side business. I actually thought about that once. That I would open up a kiosk at the airport, like when people have layovers and they need therapy.
I mean, then listen, I'd be the first one in that because that's my type of therapy. $2 therapy. I'd be like, yeah,
just hang out by the massage chairs.
I know. I would be so freaking stinking wealthy if I went with that approach.
Totally.
Great.
I find the most interesting things of like taking people, like you being a doctor, take you way outside of that, like. Can you do tarot cards for us or some?
I could get up. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, will you make shit up for? How about will you cook something for us tomorrow or make us a sandwich?
See, I didn't want to tell you guys this, but who did you have on? You had somebody brilliant on. Oh, it was when Chef Travis was cooking for you guys. Do you know the night Chef Travis was cooking for you guys? I had Kraft macaroni and cheese out of a box.
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that, but that's horrible.
Well, now listen, when you say out of a box, did you cook it or did you eat it out of the box dry? Because those are 2 very different things when it comes to mental sanity.
Myself, Jay. No, I did cook the macaroni.
Oh, okay.
And I even added some of the Spice Guys seasoning, so that totally makes it gourmet.
I would find that completely interesting just to see what does she strain it? Does she put hot water over the top of those noodles?
Yeah,
there?
like the
Does
style.
she take the cheese and put a little milk in there, or is it butter or no butter, no milk, just dry? Are you using the creamy sauce or the powder?
Powder. I know but that's like nostalgia for me. That's one of those foods that you don't really want to tell people you like, but it's totally your childhood.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was totally Kraft.
I went through a phase for probably a year where I just ate soup out of the can cold. Like I didn't heat it up, and it didn't matter what kind of soup it was. It's just I'd pop the top, eat it cold, get it into the gut, move on. But I did that for about a year.
That's called self-harming behavior, Jay.
Is it?
That's a little depressing.
I thought I was just hungry and lazy.
I was a teenager who lived in a car in Maine, and I used to get burritos and heat them up on the window in the morning.
I was a teenager who lived in a car in Maine.
Confession time? No.
Yeah, that's like the title for the next thing to come.
Interesting time. So we were talking about my art the other day, right?
Oh.
So my mom was watching and wanted to make it a point to send a painting, take a picture of a painting that I did for her. Jay, do you have that you can put that side by side up there? And I know that's not going to do you any good right now, Doctor.
Say where? What was it? Who gave it to me?
My mother. You remember? She was texting you on the text line. People text Jay on the text line who know him, who just know his phone number.
Yeah.
And
I have to tell him, would you just text me? So your mom texted a picture of it on the text line?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
She sent it to me, and then I shot it over to you. But I'll find it on my phone. I'm going to see if I can hold this up to you, Doctor. I'm probably not going to be able to see it, but...
Wow.
So her favorite flowers are daffodils.
I was going to say, those are daffodils.
Yeah.
I love that.
So
hold on. I've got it right
here.
It?
Okay.
Yeah, hold on a second.
We'll put that side by side. Let's see what I even signed it. Mother's Day 2012.
Oh.
So here's what I'm going to do. Mom, close your ears. Mother's Day's coming up, right? There's two things there's one thing she really wants. She wants a fancy hat from Lieber's Locavore for the Carrie Baird fancy hat, says fancy. She wants that, but I'm going to paint her something.
I love that.
For Mother's Day.
Okay, it's up.
It's up.
So our Facebook viewers are looking at it right now. Now, what is this now? Tell them again what that is. You painted that?
Yeah, those are daffodils that I painted for my mother. So it's really, if you go to my mom's house, you would think it's a graveyard for daffodils. There's the weirdest little trinkets ever, and they're all daffodils. You're like, oh my God, the walls are closing in with daffodils.
Oh.
Probably not that extreme, but there's a lot of daffodil stuff.
I will forever think of your mother when I see daffodils now.
You know what? Here's what we should do. Tomorrow, my mom hasn't left her house in 5 weeks.
We should call her.
Let's get her on the horn, right? And
that'd be
how
fun.
Bizarre would that be to have my mom walking around her house with her phone,
Yeah.
Does this work?
Yeah.
Is it on me? Can you see my whole face?
Yeah.
And we can do therapy. We can figure out all of your child.
Oh no, I don't think that anybody wants that. I think that if we talk to her, we should stick to food or yeah. You get it.
I think she was at that Blue Bear Farm the day that we didn't meet, but we met.
Dang it! I missed meeting your mom. We're gonna have a really big dinner table when we can finally all sit down together.
Don't you think? Like done and done.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, we love you. You know what time it is.
It's clear.
All right. Yes, she looks forward to it now. Get up and dance. It is Thursday. Tomorrow, Friday. Yeah. Dance. Got to thank everybody. Our sponsors, we love you so much. Keeping us on the air. Today's show, got to thank him, Larry Herz. No T at the end. Larry Herz joins us from OCN. And got to thank the doctor, Dr. William Blanchet. Of course, our favorite doctor, Dr. Sara Metz, Dr. Baby Yoda right here. Love you. Give you a kiss right there. Dr. Baby Yoda. All right, who else? Kelly Whitaker, Chef Kelly Whitaker, Basta, the Wolfs Tailor, Dry Storage, Bruto, and BOH. What a great interview that was. Steve Indrehus, Tommyknocker Brewery, and
Indrehus.
Indrehus. You're right. Yeah. What a great job they're doing up there at Tommyknocker. Support local. Support your favorite businesses. Hang in there. 25 days to go. Tomorrow, Paul Riley on the show. Did you know that, Doctor? Chef Paul Riley from Beast and Bottle will join us. Got to thank you guys for tuning in. Tomorrow, we'll be right back here, 2 to 5 p.m., 2 to 4 tomorrow. The Modern Eater Show continues. Bye, Doctor.
Bye.